Okay, team, here we are solving systems of equations using the elimination method. So we have already learned how to find a solution by the graphing method. That was our first way. We've also learned how to do this using substitution, our second way, and this is our third way, and a lot of you are going to like this the most. So we have 4 steps here. I'm going to have you underline where it says the same or opposite coefficient, because that is the trick. Now, looking at these examples, I don't see that right away. I see 3 and a 6. Those aren't the same. I see a 1y and a 3y. Those aren't the same, so I have to multiply one, sometimes both of the equations. So I'm going to take this first equation and I'm going to multiply it by 2. I'm going to multiply it, the whole dang equation, by number 2. That way I get a 6x and a 6x, so that same coefficient that I want. 2 times 3x is 6x. 2 times y is 2y. 2 times 11 is 22. So there we go. I just rewrote my equation. I'm just going to copy down my second equation so I have a new system. So that's 6x plus 3y, and this equals 24. Okay, so coefficient of x is now exactly the same, 6x, 6x. Now I want to eliminate a variable. The only way to do that is by subtraction. So I'm going to subtract. I'm going to take this first equation, and I'm going to subtract the entire second equation. 6x minus 6x is 0. It eliminates. That's why we call it the elimination method. 2y minus 3y is negative 1y. 22 minus 24 is 22 minus 24 is negative 2. I want to get the y by itself. Let's divide both sides by negative 1, or my fancy trick, let's just flip the sign of everything in the equation. Y is positive 2. There's half of my solution. I have the y. I need to find the x. So that was step 1, and step 2, adding the equations together. Let's solve for the remaining variables. Step 3, I'm going to take this y value, substitute it into my original equation. So this is 3x plus y equals 22. So I'm taking my y value and I'm going to substitute it in to my equation. Now I want to get the x by itself, same as I've been doing. Let's subtract 2 from both sides. Leaves me with cancellation there. I got 3x equals 22. Oh, darn it, that's supposed to be 11 right there. Let's change that to 11. 11 minus 2 is 9. Let's divide both sides by 3. Divide by 3, divide by 3, and x is equal to 3. Boom, there's the other half of my solution. So my solution then is 3, 2. Now to check, to know for sure if this is the right solution, I'm going to plug the x and the y into my other equation and make sure that it works. So down here, I'm going to rewrite that equation. We got 6x plus 3y equals 24. Let's plug in my solution. There's 3 for x, so 6 times 3 plus 3y, y is 2. Does this work? 6 times 3 is 18. 3 times 2 is 9, or 3 times 2 is 6, rather, darn it. 18 plus 6 is 24, and 24 equals 24, so check that solution works for this system of equations, all right? So if I'm looking at the second system of equations, I need to get a same or opposite coefficient of one of these variables. So let's go ahead and take this bottom equation this time, and I'm going to multiply it times 4. I'm going to multiply this whole equation by 4. 4 times negative x is negative 4x. 4 times negative 2y is negative 8y. And 4 times 8 is 8, 16, 24, 32. And I'm going to rewrite that top equation exactly as it looks. Okay, so there's step 1. Step 2 says I need to add or multiply these equations together. Now I'm trying to eliminate a variable. So if they're opposites, I'm just going to add them together. If they're the same, I need to subtract the equations. So let's go ahead and add these two equations together. Let's add them together. 4x plus negative 4x, that eliminates. That's 0. Doesn't do nothing. Negative 5y plus negative 8y is negative 13y. Negative 19 plus 32, that's a little confusing. Let me make sure I get that one right. Negative 19 plus 32 is 13. Okay, cool. That's 13. All right. So negative 13y equals 13. That means y is equal to negative 1. There is half of my solution. Now to find the other half, I'm going to take this y value, I'm going to stick it into one of my original equations and solve for x. So using that first equation, I got 4x minus 5y equals negative 19. Y value is negative 1. Let's solve for x. This is 4x plus 5 equals negative 19. Negative times negative is positive. Let's subtract 5 from both sides. We got 4x because these cancel out. Leaving with 4x, negative 19 minus 5 is negative 24. Let's divide both sides by 4. And x is equal to negative 6. Then my solution is x comma y. And there is my solution. Okay, thanks for playing. Next thing you're gonna do then is you're gonna go to your 5.3 practice page that looks like this. You're gonna solve each of these systems by the elimination method, and if you need to rewatch this video, then you should. You can pause it where you need to, and feel free to use that. But once you're done with each of these equations, or each of these problems rather, then you're gonna move on to the puzzle time worksheet. So you're doing 5.3 practice, and then if you're done and have extra time, start working on the 5.3 puzzle time. Okay, bye-bye.